be going through this a little more quickly. And then I will discuss a bit about your final report and what sort of brand report you have to write. I recommend having at least 2 to 3 people in a group. Do not try to do this individually. You might be burdened with other classes, but remember, if you do this in a group, there will be a peer review, okay? And the honest, best way of doing a report in a group is to make a Google Drive account and have everyone share the same document and track each other's, okay? You know how to turn on the tracking options in Google? If you don't, let me know. I'll show you how, okay? So this is about building customer-based brand equity. And as you can see, on the top over here, it shows moving from building brand tools and objectives to moving to consumer knowledge effects, and finally, the benefits of the brand. And in the first element, we can see that choosing brand elements, the logo, the name, the symbol, the character, the packaging, slogan, and how it's applied in terms of the brand element. It is making it memorable, giving it some meaning, some appeal, transferability to another brand line, or even to a different medium. When I say medium, when you make an ad for McDonald's on TV, you can use a sound medium like ba-da-ba-ba-ba. The imagery of the golden arcs are repeated with the M sign, like, I'm loving it. Okay, adaptability in different languages, protectability of your logo, and so on and so forth. Then comes developing marketing programs or marketing campaigns and strategies, like the 4P strategy. Product is big, building on the tangibility benefits or even intangible benefits. Pricing is based on value, or what type of value. Is it premium value, everyday low price value? It's competitive value. Distribution channel, are you going for a push strategy with sales promotion oriented? Are you going for a pull strategy, which is demand oriented by creating more demand through marketing programs? Communications, are you using sales promotion, direct marketing? Are you using public relations? Are you using personal selling or just simple advertising? Then comes leverage of secondary association, which is your own company's name. Remember, for example, Volkswagen owns a lot of companies. They own Volkswagen cars, they own Audi as well. They own, I think, Bentley. I'm not sure, Bentley or Rolls-Royce, Bugatti, and all those brands. So that's the association. That Volkswagen Group is the main company itself, and it produces great products. Or like Toyota produces Toyota Corolla, and also Lexus. The country of origin, if it's made in Japan or it's made in Germany, is it made in France? Will you buy it for that reason? Or it's a French luxurious product. It's an American tech company. It is a Japanese car. It is a German tank, whatever it is, okay? Country of origins also have perceptions associated with this. Channel of distribution, how are you getting it? Are you watching your video on Amazon Prime or Netflix? And other brands associated with it, and who are the people who endorse it, the brand ambassadors, the micro-influencers, and even through events like, for example, when you watch, let's say, football or you watch tennis, they usually have these brands on the side like Rolex watch. Rolex sponsors even, or Omega, I think, sponsors the PGA Tour. Rolex sponsors Roland Garros, the tennis thing they have in France. And this creates awareness, pushes the meaningfulness of association of that brand, as well as transferability. It can create all those things. Just to look back if anyone sent me a message. This is keeping me alive, Rohit. Good. What's keeping me alive is money. Bon appetit, Rohit. Enjoy your Kinder Bueno. I'm having coffee at the moment. Let me share it with you guys. Someone sent a message? No. I'm having coffee. And for my throat, I take Ricola. I have another Ricola packet as well. I have to take a lot. And right now, I'm also taking another thing that's keeping me alive. It's Doliprane. It's basically Panadol. And this guy is my motivation to stay alive. He's the Joker from Batman. Anyways, let me hide the camera. Let's get back. Then if we move on to customer knowledge effects, in this part, we have brand awareness and association. We talked about depth and breadth of brand awareness, which is recall and recognition. We talked a bit about purchasing consumption previously, repeat purchasing, repeat consumption, experiences with that brand can also lead to good experiences, and good experiences probably, or I would say satisfactory experiences, yield the brand recall in a more positive light. Then we have brand associations. That is strong, favorable, and unique. We discussed that just now. Let me just show you where. Strong, favorable, and unique. Okay, and this was, if we go a little bit back, you can see it over here, strength, favorability, and uniqueness, and it comes back over here. So all of those inputs finally go into possible outcomes: greater loyalty, less vulnerability to competitive actions, larger profit margins, more elastic response to price decrease, meaning increasing demand if our product decreases in price. More inelastic response if the price increases, that the demand remains constant even if price increases. Okay, greater trade cooperation, and we saw this over here. This is kind of a summary of all that we did. Okay, so it's repeating. So here's some guidelines for building brand equity, and you should know some of these. And after all, I'm trying to teach you that. Number one is to define the brand hierarchy in terms of the number of levels to use and the relative prominence that brands at different levels will receive when combined to brand any one product. Okay, so this could be in daily life as well. In terms of what should come first, take for example, computers is a great idea. If you are a basic user, you'll buy a basic computer with the own, but if you are a video gamer, you probably buy the same type of brand with more processing power, a better GPU. If you are a person who does graphic designing, you might buy a different type of computer with those sort of components, more hard drive space because you would like to keep your videos there. If you are a website developer, a programmer, you would like a different type of specs. So you have a computer, but at a different level. Same goes for cars. You have a basic version of a car. You have the sports edition, sedan edition, hatchback edition, maybe an SUV edition, luxury edition of the same car with multiple options. So how do you want to elevate your brand from there? Number two, create global associations relevant. When I say global, it does not mean international. Okay, global means what is much more broad. Excuse me. Create global associations relevant to as many brands nested at the level below in the hierarchy as possible, but sharply differentiate brands at the same level of the hierarchy. Take, for example, cornflakes. You've probably heard of Kellogg's cornflakes. They're just cornflakes. They're cereals, ordinary. But at the higher level, what did they do? They introduced Kellogg's K Special, which is just fiber. And they try to target the market for people who would like to take care of their health and fitness. And mainly the target market were women. Okay, so they introduced Special K with chocolate bits, Special K with fruits, dried fruits like strawberries and stuff like that. So they distinguished themselves, and Nestle tried to do the same. And then they also introduced other brands like Jordan's or what's the one, Country Crisp. I forgot what they called, Jordan's Country something. Or Nestle tried to introduce their muesli and stuff like that. So they kind of differentiate at higher levels in terms of even pricing, maybe, or availability. Number three, introduce brand distinctions that complement the product mix of the firm. Leverage parent brand association, enhance brand equity. When you think about cereals, there can also be cereal bars, snack bars. They're full of sugar though, but people think they're healthy, or healthy alternatives to chocolate. So Kellogg's has its own cereal bars, I think. Nestle does too. And people relate to that. They're like, oh, it's just the same thing, but in the form of a chocolate bar. That's part of a brand line extension. Number four, clearly establish the roles of brands in the portfolio, adding, deleting, and modifying brands if necessary. You can add more product line if it's necessary. You can remove such product lines or brand lines which are no longer relevant. You can discontinue manufacturing them or discontinue offering them because they lose their relevancy over time. Remember, in marketing, the only constant is change. People change with time. But sometimes preferences stay too. Take, for example, luxury products. They hardly discontinue their brands. Think, for example, Hermes. They still have the Jane Birkin's bag. It still exists, right? So that's more hereditary and different, but they kept it. They sustained it. Might have modified the brand a bit, might have changed the logo a bit, but the strong element association stays. Number 5, reinforce brand equity over time through marketing actions that consistently convey the meaning of the brand in terms of what products the brand represents, the benefit it supplies, what needs it satisfies, and why it is superior to competitive brands. Here, I would like to go back to the iPhone. iPhone still is a very competitive product in the market. Competitive, but not the leader because of the benefit it supplies. More than functional benefit, it has emotional benefits. Okay. When I say emotional, people who look at each other and they see their phones they make a judgment. And this is the reason people dress the way they dress. They want to impress other people in front of them. I've had that happen to me. People look at my phone, they flip it over, they see the logo ASUS, and immediately they don't want to be associated with me. They're like, "Oh, you have an ASUS phone," and I saw this girl. I still am shocked to my core that she had the iPhone 8 and the iPhone 10. I said, "You have both the phones? Why?" She's like, "Because I love the iPhone." And I'm like, "Well, you have so much money to buy two iPhones and you don't have money to buy a pen and paper to work in class?" And that's when everyone laughed in the class. I felt bad, but I was curious. Why would she have two phones? And then she's like, "Oh no, I bought the new one because I ran out of battery space." I'm like, "My God, woman, go buy a freaking Samsung." And she's like, "No, I like the iPhone." I'm like, "You don't like the iPhone. You bought the iPhone because you put a red, beautiful cover on top of it." And then the narcissistic part was on both the phones, she had her own selfie as the wallpaper. I said, "This is amazing." People I've seen put selfies of their children, of their dogs, of their girlfriends, of boyfriends, well, the people they love. And there's some people who put their own picture. My God. But yeah, then again, I am not here to judge, but I'm here to understand. I try my best. You know anyone who has a selfie as their wallpaper? Oh yeah, I know my camera was on, but I just switched it off. Thank you, Daripali. I turned it on to show my coffee. And if my camera's still on, there's nothing to see. I'm in my full clothing. Samuel has his own. Okay, Samuel. Okay, Sam. Okay, Sam. Okay for Sam. Did I say that? Not okay for sale. Okay for Sam. Yes, that's written there. Number 6, to enhance the brand equity over time through innovation in product design, manufacturing and merchandising, and continued relevance in user and user imagery. This is more of a business strategy that you remain consistent with delivering I wouldn't say high quality, consistent quality and imagery. And if you change the imagery, it should match your entire business and marketing objectives. Okay. Take, for example, Toyota produces economical cars, but when they launched the Lexus product, they changed the name from Toyota Lexus just to Lexus. The logo too is an L sign instead of the Toyota sign. The reason is that they didn't want the same association, because if you buy a Lexus, you didn't want to be associated with Toyota. Even though everyone knows that Lexus is created by Toyota, but they made it an entirely separate division to remove that sort of association of, I would say, affordability and more of sporty luxury car coming from Japan. Okay. Number 7, identify differences in consumer behavior in different market segments and adjust the branding programs accordingly on cost-benefit basis. This is more of a segmentation, targeting, positioning strategy, finding out the correct personas or segments that are more substantially profitable, and creating targeted marketing programs of products for them. That's basically it. Moving ahead. Oh, I spent a lot of time here. Excuse me. I will send you the logo. This is going to be the best joke of the year. This is going to continue all the way to the next semester. You know, guys, you'll have me next semester again for global and e-marketing. Are you guys excited? And I will be teaching a new course for the MSc. They've introduced the MSc International Strategic Marketing. I don't know if it'll be offered openly to the BBA students, though. I'll have to ask Sarah. Super. Yeah. But you guys are a funny bunch, so we might have fun. But you better take the second class that you take with me very seriously. It's going to be pretty intense. This class is a little more easier. I should be more hard on you guys. Oh, there, my coffee's finished. Now I feel empty inside. Maybe I should get some decaf. I like the taste of coffee on my tongue. It's bitter and it keeps me awake. It keeps me, I wouldn't say awake, it keeps me at attention. So building a brand equity, a dominant theme across many of these different ways to build a brand equity is the importance of complementarity and consistency. Complementarity means choosing different brand elements and supporting the marketing activities, like potential contribution to brand equity of one compensates for the shortcomings of the other. This is an example. Once again, I'm using cars. If someone wants to buy a car, they can buy a sedan or they can buy the sports edition. But let's say they have a big family, like I do. I got what you call an SUV, but it is a 7-seater SUV. But it's called a Tiguan. It's a 4x4, but they called it an SUV. They didn't call it a 4x4. I said, why? It's like it doesn't have the same power as a 4x4. It has less power, therefore it's classified as a sports utility vehicle. So it's kind of compensating for the look of a 4x4, but with less power. It doesn't have the speed of a sports car, but it has the looks of a sports car, and so on and so forth. It's kind of combining all those elements, and yet it's a family car in a way. So those are like what we call complementarity features. Whatever you want, you pay for it, and you get those features. Okay. The other part, excuse me, is consistency. This is thematic. Thematic means keeping the same value proposition, logo, imagery, ideology of the brand consistent, across the product line. So across elements, it helps create the highest level of awareness and strongest and most favorable association possible. When you go to the Zara store, and if you go to Zara.com, you will see a consistency in the theme. When you go to the Apple store, the physical one, and you go to the iTunes store online, there is consistency once again, and also in the product design itself. The way the products look, the Apple MacBook has that silver gray color with the white logo. And even though it does not stand out that much, it has that sleekness and sophistication. The iPhones were the same when they first came out with the black color and the sleek round edges and gray color, but it stood out. It seemed sophisticated. It seemed unique, and it felt like an Apple product. Okay, so those are part of consistency. Moving ahead, measuring brand equity once again is continuing from the previous one. This is building, and now we talk about measuring. A set of research procedures designed to provide timely, accurate, and actionable information from marketers about the brand is, once again, about getting the right KPIs and metrics. And I'm kind of like probably repeating for myself from other classes. When we say measuring the brand equity, we have different ways to measure, and we saw those things. So when we do our customer research or market research, rather, we ask the consumer about questions that lead us to creating points of parity, favorability in terms of what feature they think is better, how much better is it. We give them ratings, and then we try to see why would they prefer someone else's brand over ours, or why would they prefer our brand compared to someone else. Take, for example, in the US, some people will only choose Coca-Cola, even if Pepsi is offered. Some people will do the opposite. They say, I don't mind. I can drink Coke or Pepsi. I'm that type. I don't care if it's Pepsi or Coke. I'll drink it. But some people, no, I won't. And once again, that's a measure of how powerful the brand is. Some people say, I don't mind. A smartphone is a smartphone, Android or iPhone. I've seen older people not debate about it. Like, oh, whatever, it's a phone. And, I saw this on the Android that it has a child, or what do you call it, function, meaning if you're children are going to use it, you can turn on the children's option, and it only allows restricted access to the phone, such as just maybe using the phone or messaging service, or just a YouTube for kids, and that's on just one or two games. But it kind of also blocks out advertisements that may be of, I would say, explicit nature. But yeah, that exists. Maybe I can show you in the camera. You guys can see me? Hi. That's my password. Oh, I'm not showing you. The setting. I'll show you in a while. Okay. You probably have that that feature if you have an Android phone. I think it was in advanced Game Genie Twin Apps Kids Mode. Okay, I don't know if you can see it. I'll try to. I don't think so. You can see it that clear because my screen is not that large. But if I turn on Kids Mode, it looks like this. And yeah, that's a lock screen, and it allows if I want to go back to the parent mode or if I want to exit. So, what's your PIN? I have to tell my kids the PIN as well. Oh, PIN. Oh. Yep. Parent setting, and I can put applications that I want them to access, so they will be visible here. That's the kids mode, and I'll just exit it. It also had another feature called, what was it? It's like if I'm using like Microsoft or Google, it's like a home screen, and it allows me to only access a part of the desktop for security reasons. And so I can create multiple logins or connectors, as they say, and it's pretty cool. But I kind of uninstalled it because my phone doesn't have that much power. Okay, let me turn off the camera. We were able to see the camera that I turned on. So the dominant theme in measuring brand equity is the need to employ a full complement of research techniques and processes that captures as much as possible the richness and complexity of the brand equity. Okay, and there are multiple techniques. Okay, and the measures are needed to tap into all the various sources and outcomes of brand equity, and to help interpret brand equity research and to ensure that actionable information is obtained at the right time. And I was discussing this some time back that with just a little while ago regarding marketing strategies and all that. Why I had to delete people from my Facebook is that just recently, I mean, just 2-3 months ago before the shutdown, received a complaint from the administration that I posted something on Facebook, but the administration defended me because they said it's my personal Facebook and not my professional one. Okay, and the student was offended by the joke I put up. Maybe they thought it was body shaming or whatsoever, but they didn't realize I was shaming myself for being fat. And I got so irritated that I went back and messaged all of my students who are currently my students that I am removing you. You and Vanessa, you were there as well, so you probably know about this. And when I did, I really did remove them. Okay, and I said, if you want to be friends on Facebook, there are certain conditions. Number one, okay, you have to be a graduate. Number two, if you're not a graduate, you should be no longer on the campus. Number three, if you are still on the campus and you're a graduate, but you still want to stay in touch, you can do it through Instagram or the Facebook page. I did the same with my Facebook page group, which was Coffee for the Professor. There's another one, Give the Professor Coffee. That's a page. And for the Instagram part, I eliminated a lot of my funny jokes and memes. And some people get sensitive. And I said I should stop joking. I don't want to change who I am, but excuse me. the thing was regarding my brand image is someone who could be considered to be a little more decent with everyone. And I didn't want to be seen that way. I wanted to be seen as who I am truly and not a false image. But it kind of ticked me off. So I said, why not create a special club on Facebook and call it? So I only allowed a handful of people. When I say handful, there are around 200 people who are there, and I let them in on, I would say, other information that I would like to share deeply with them. And I started about rebuilding my brand again. So this was actually the second time someone complained about my Facebook. The initial time was on my Facebook group, and I said this is an open group, and whoever says anything, they can be moderated by the other person. But they chose to take a screenshot and show it to someone, and I said that's not even me. That's on my group. So the administration did defend me there too. It's like, just be careful what people say. I'm like, why should I be careful about what other people say? What's the context? Can't people control what they have to say? But lately you've seen this on YouTube and even Instagram. If someone posts inappropriate comments, they get withheld immediately on your profile. Not on your profile, on your business profile, especially YouTube. So they can immediately just block it before it can be posted again. And that's up to the moderator to look into those. I don't have a social media manager. I don't plan to. I'm using one at the moment, but it begs the question that, do I have to do this research constantly? And it can be hard work. So implementing a brand equity measurement system has 3 steps. Number 1, conducting brand audits. You can do this monthly. Depends on the size of your company. If you are a very large company, you should do it monthly. If you are a small company, you can do it quarterly. But if you are doing it through marketing campaign strategy, you can do it weekly as well. Also designing brand tracking studies, meaning looking at the trend lines of sales, customer preferences, customer associations, and those things, doing regular research, and also establishing a brand equity management system, okay? Having a team there that actually understands how to manage a brand. You have all the tools in place. You use all the numbers and figures to do those things. Anyways. No mention whatsoever. Recording ended unexpectedly. No, it didn't. Am I recording at the moment? Yeah, I am. Okay, I'm going through this a little quickly. Some guidelines for measuring brand equity. Number 1, formalize the firm's view of brand equity into a document. Make it formalized, okay? Make it relevant that your company business has certain objectives and it should be viewed in a certain light in front of the consumers, the competition, and the overall environment. Conduct brand inventories to profile how all of the products sold by a company are branded and marketed, and conduct brand exploratories to understand what consumers think and feel about a brand. This is, for example, in France, Uniqlo is considered to be a more of a premium brand, even though it's not that expensive. But in Japan, it's considered to be a more affordable Aldi, Lidl type brand, or I would say Primark style brand. This is part of understanding brand inventories. How is it being sold in different countries, different regions? What inventories are more popular? Take, for example, the Zara. There are 2 Sans commercials or shopping mall close to my house. One is close to the airport Charles de Gaulle, which is more touristic, and one is one is in like the deeper suburbs where people of lower income levels live. The one with the lower income level, they don't have that many suits and ties in there. They usually have t-shirt, jeans, and running shoes for the men. And when I go to the touristic one near the airport, they have amazing collection. The more expensive one, they have like nice suit jackets or blazers and all those things, probably because the market or inventory there is different. Number 3, conduct consumer tracking studies on routine basis. Number 4, assemble results of tracking survey. This is simple marketing research and controls. And number 5, establish a person or department to oversee the implementation of the brand equity charter and equity reports. You have to constantly monitor. Remember, why we monitor the brand's equity or preferences or perception is not to suffer from marketing myopia. Even if you don't do anything to change your satisfactory position, someone out there can come and flank out your rank very easily. Look what happened to Nokia. Nokia used to be the king of cell phones, and overnight it was knocked out by iPhone. BlackBerry was knocked out, just like Nokia was. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, iPhone was released, and people just dumped their Nokia phones, they dumped their Blackberries for a much prettier and more charming phone. Just like people dumped their girlfriends for someone more prettier and charming overnight, you know? Sorry. This is a sensitive thing to say and probably very rude, and I don't care. But I found it funny. Is it wrong to be funny? I don't know. Here's some, what do you call it? I would say certain principles you can use. They're around, how many are there? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them, I think. And they're basically just a similar definition we probably studied before, or repetition. This could be used for recommendations. I highly say that you use this for recommendation. The principle of simplicity. Employ as few levels as possible of your brand hierarchy. This is what Apple failed after firing Steve Jobs. They launched too many types of products. And when Steve Jobs came back, he said that to them. He's like, you guys have really bad products because you're selling everything. Nobody can understand what Apple does anymore. This happened also, this brand called Pierre Cardin, or Pierre Cardin. I don't know how to pronounce it properly. It's in French, Cardin. And it just kept on increasing its product lines, and it lost the value of what it was truly offering. Then there's also principle of clarity. Logic and relationships of all brand elements employed must be obvious and transparent. Like going from, take for example, the iPod turned into the iPod Nano and the iPod Touch. The iPod Touch was configured more into the iPhone, a touchscreen-based phone. The iPhone led to the iPad, and of course, then we can see it led to the iPad Pro, which is more of a multitasking computer-like technology. So there's clarity in those relationships. Principles of relevance. Create abstract association relevant to as many products as possible, such as the curves on a Ferrari, the shape of Porsche 911, the smell of French fries from McDonald's. Those are also principles of relevance, and they're kind of abstract associations. When people are asked about what do you think about McDonald's French fries, they say we love the smell. Even though if you leave it for 5 minutes and they get cold, they taste absolutely disgusting. But people love to eat them hot. Principles of differentiation. Differentiate individual products and brands, but keep the relevance and clarity in terms of themes. Principles of growth. Investments in market penetration or expansion versus product development should be made according to ROI opportunities. Market penetration is using the same product to go after the same type of demographic to win the market share. Market expansion is using the same product to go after a different demographic. Versus product development is you are creating new products for the same demographics. Okay, but do you want to create a new product? Is it necessary to create a new product? So once again, once you're thinking about those things, think about your return on investment. Will you be making more money if you go after a different market segment? If you continue to stay with the same market segment, if you design a new product, or you go entirely with a diversification strategy. Diversification is when you create a new product and go after a new market. Okay. Principle of survival. Brand extensions must achieve brand equity in their categories. They must become so solid that they can survive and sustain themselves on their own. Look at Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola, the original flavor, has sustained itself for so long that they didn't even want a new flavor anymore. McDonald's has a certain brands line, such as the burger brand line, the filet of fish, the Big Mac. They've survived throughout time. They've gained brand equity, even chicken McNuggets and all those things. Principle of synergy. Brand extension should enhance the equity of the parent brand, meaning the MacBook divisions, the iPod, or I would say the iPhone division, the tablet division, computing division, the Apple services division of iTunes and Apple TV. They all supply a synergistic value to the Apple brand altogether. Same goes for Volkswagen. The big Volkswagen company owns different types of automotive organizations, and these automobile organizations provide the same type of value in terms of maybe understanding the manufacturing concept, the distribution concept of cars, the dealership concept and customer relationships of managing the automobile industry partnerships. And also they have a bank. Volkswagen has a bank that loans out auto cars and auto insurances to be an auto lease as well to their consumers. Excuse me. Principle of prominence. Adjust prominence to affect perceptions of product distance. When you create a new product, how close or distant is it from what you actually make? Here, the iPhone was a very prominent product because Apple was making computers and technological product, but not telecommunication product. That's why when the iPhone came out, people were flabbergasted at Apple make a phone? Why? Nokia making a phone is fine, but Nokia making a computer would be kind of weird. But think about what Microsoft never made their phones. They had Windows-based phones on different technology or different equipment, but never had a real Windows phone. They bought a Nokia to create a Windows phone, which wasn't very successful. Then there's a principle of commonality. Link common products to shared brand elements. Going back to Apple, the iPod Touch, the iPod Nano, the iPad, and the iPhone, all touchscreens. Sorry, not the iPod, but iPod Touch, all touchscreens. Okay, all look very similar in terms of shapes and size. They're, what do you call it? They all can connect to the internet. They can connect to the iTunes service. And you need an Apple ID in between them you can sync all of those things. So they create an ecosystem. I hope I make sense over here. But anyways. Number 2, defining brand product matrix. Brand extensions they establish new equity and enhance the existing equity. And extension of the brand can be based on the product line as well. Are you increasing the product line downwards? That's the depth of it. Meaning, are you creating new brand extensions for the same type of product? Let's say Oral-B has different products. They have a toothbrush, they have a toothpaste, and they have dental floss. So that's kind of like the width of the brand extension. Okay, but Oral-B's toothpaste, what are the brand line extensions underneath that? They have, let's say, for teeth whitening, they might have for gingivitis and all those things, or it can be just with carbon in it, like the black paste in it. That's a brand extension. Then the portfolio overall, how big is the portfolio? How diversified is it? Okay, and how you are managing it in terms of market growth, sales, investment, and all those things. Did anyone send me a message? I'm planning to get a sports edition. Okay, good for you. Sports edition of what? Also, you have to enhance a brand equity over time. That's reinforcement and revitalization. Revitalization can also be called rejuvenation. The idea is to keep the brand alive. Okay, for example, Coca-Cola, every 4 or 5 months, it launches an ad campaign so strong that it evokes a lot of emotions. It's a cola. It has nothing to do with the way they're marketing it, but they use a polar bear, they use Santa Claus. The round, fat, red Santa Claus, it was created by Coca-Cola, okay? Then the polar bear idea, and they use, I think, even penguins and God knows what, and they constantly come back and forth, and always Coca-Cola, they use the songs and other themes to make it sound, it's forever. That's revitalization. And reinforcement is kind of similar. It's innovation in product design, manufacturing, and merchandising. And relevance in user and usage imagery. They launched Coca-Cola Life, which is real sugar, but the sugar content is natural. Okay, it is not processed sugar, it's not corn syrup and all those things. And Coca-Cola launched also Coca Zero, which is more towards the male. I would say the imagery is much more masculine. Diet Cola was much more towards feminine imagery. And that was reinforcement that we are still existing when you can have different options. Then they had Cherry Coca. Coca Zero and Cherry Coca-Cola are very popular in France. Everyone loves that. Cherry Coca-Cola tastes like cough syrup to me. Number 4, establish brand equity over market segments. That is, identify difference in consumer behaviors and adjusting branding programs. This is more towards segmentation and targeting, finding different customer personas, and then attracting them with different positioning statements. That being said, moving ahead, I don't want to waste too much time here. How many slides left? God, I'm tired. I don't want to do this. You guys can read this. This is guidelines for money brand. Wait, I just read this, didn't I? Oh, it's very similar to what we read over here. It's kind of similar. Number 5. Yeah, it's pretty similar, so I'm not going to repeat this. It's almost the same. Guidelines for managing brand equity. You can read this from the chapter. I highly recommend that. So what are the dominant themes in managing brand equity? Number 1 is the importance of maintaining balance in marketing activities. You don't want to spend all your money in promotional activities. Okay, you don't want to spend all your efforts in creating a new product line, and then the product line fails. If you do a lot of promotional activities, maybe the creativity would not be appreciated sometimes, so people don't get the ad. I don't know if you guys watched or have watched the series called Mad Men, and it shows how the creative process goes around of creating advertisements, and it's pretty interesting because it's kind of true at the same time, but it's their real focus is not on the ad. It's also in that period of time, a lot of things were just advertising. And many companies focused on advertising. Now times have changed, and the focus has shifted towards PR, tribal networks, consumer cultural theory, and all those things, audiography, netnography, videography, and understanding the customer better, using marketing research, using data science to understand the trends in the market. So we also have to understand that we have to change our marketing programs with time to time. It's an art and a science. There's never a real success strategy. I see these books online made by authors who are trying to make money really quickly. There's like how to get 1 million followers on Instagram in like 1 month. Like, wow, why would they sell you their secrets? What sort of bullshit technique is that? And so when I do read certain books like this, and all of them talk about the same thing that you learn in class, all of it. It's to build a strategy, to constantly approach and study the market, understand the consumer, what they want, and build upon it and spend money. Um, I saw some of my students who are YouTubers or Instagram models, and they have quite a big fan following. But one of my students said she had an organic following, meaning she built her 20,000 followers from ground up. She didn't buy any followers. She said, and I said, how long did it take? It's like, it took a long time. She's like, I've been working. She's like, it's been doing this since the age of 15. She's like 18, 19 years old now. So it took like 3-4 years to build on that. And it's like, it wasn't easy. Sometimes she spent money, or, she would spend like 30, 40 euros on marketing herself. But she's like, it takes effort. But interestingly, she has a lot of followers on Instagram, but she has very little views on YouTube. And she's like, I can't spend that money on YouTube, even though I make videos. It's hard work. But, it takes time and effort. And strategy means it's both the science and art of execution. The science part is you understand the elements that go into it and how to tweak those levers. You have the 4P strategies. You have the brand equity management strategies. You have your segmentation and targeting strategies and positioning strategies. The art is the execution part, how you will be successful. That is very difficult to achieve, and usually is achieved over time. Okay, and with more experiences you gain, the better you get. Uh, that's why I think, like, for example, why Steve Jobs was so good at it, or even Bill Gates, or all these top companies at the moment, like Jeff Bezos, they didn't achieve all of the success by being very ethical. Okay, what they really focused on was, and they'll say this to you, if even Jeff Bezos agrees on this, was to listen to the customer. all the time. That's what they would say. The fight was to listen to the customer the best way possible. And most of the time, they weren't successful. They tried launching something they thought the customer would appreciate, and the customer rejected them constantly. And then all of a sudden, one product they like out of 20. And how does that happen? They'll tell you, you got to keep on innovating. You cannot be complacent. You have to keep on making new attempts. If you believe you are the best in the market, that's when your failure actually starts. Remember, Nokia thought it was the best. BlackBerry thought it was the best. Everyone thought. Google Plus thought it was too big to fail. Google Plus shut down. MySpace has disappeared. Nokia has lost its throne. BlackBerry, nobody wants that anymore. They're like, ew, who wants BlackBerry? Think about all those products. And don't think about those products that made a comeback, like Puma. Puma shoes made a comeback. People don't even know that Puma is German. People don't even know that ASICS, or ASICS as some people call it, is Japanese. And how did they make that comeback? How did it become popular? Canada Goose made a comeback. How? What did they do that was innovative? How did they were able to execute it? How did a brand like Fila, Fila, how did it come back? What was the amazing part? It's just amazing that the rejuvenation part or even nostalgia plays a part in this. But this is what you have to figure out. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, what makes a strong brand? I don't know. It's written there. So first, you have to understand brand meaning and market appropriate product and service in an appropriate manner. Study things with objectivity and a context. All right. Finding that objectivity is going to be tough. Never talk without the research. Never talk like you know everything. Be humble when you do the research. Properly position the brand according to the mindset you're going after. Provide superior delivery of desired benefits. Remember, it says desired benefit. Value equals to sum of perceived benefits minus the sum of perceived cost. Okay? And employ a full range of complementary brand elements supporting marketing activities and secondary associations. This you'll work out over time. Embrace integrated marketing communications. IMC is all the 5 things I said in a promotional mix. Advertising, personal selling, direct marketing, public relations, and sales promotion. Also, measure consumer perceptions of value and develop a pricing strategy accordingly. My student who was selling homemade ketchup said, "Oh, I'll just sell one small jar for €2 to €3," and I slapped him. I didn't really slap him, but out of a rhetoric slap, that I would say, don't be an idiot. Go and ask the people how much are they willing to pay, minimum and maximum. When he did the research, he came back and he was shocked. He said, people are willing to pay up to €7 for a tiny jar of homemade ketchup. It's like, Professor, that's insane. That's cheating. I'm like, no, it's not. It's value pricing because you made it at home. The ingredients are all natural and you are a trusted person. That's why they would buy from you. And he did sell for his time, and he's like, it's tiring, of course. It's always homemade. He doesn't have a bulk, but he was still shocked. He was selling it for €6 to €7. Initially, he also started selling in test tubes as well to show that he's like an engineer, a chemical engineer. Establish credibility and appropriate brand personality and imagery. The right person, the right image is important. Okay, who you associate with. That's why a lot of brands or celebrities lose endorsement. Tiger Woods lost almost all his endorsements after he was caught cheating on his wife. Tiger Woods was going to become the first sports billionaire. Not even Michael Jordan could achieve that. Yeah, Michael Jordan is in retirement. Tiger Woods is still playing. Rick Ross, the fat rapper. When I say fat rapper, I do truly hate he's fat and he's a moron, and he's disgusting. But he sang about drugging a woman with a roofie called Molly and raping her, and people listened to that type of song. Yeah. And then he lost a lot of his endorsement. Thank God for that. He sucks anyways, and I'm going on record to say this. Or people will buy out your association because you're probably a nice person to be associated with as well. Tiger Woods' major association in brands was with Accenture, which is an e-commerce company. And they would always talk about success and associate Tiger Woods with it because he was young and successful. Did you guys send a message? Car. Okay. Maintain innovation and relevance for the brand. Remember the difference between the word invention and innovation. Invention is something new. Innovation is improvement. And you have to avoid marketing myopia. Innovation does not just mean in the product or service. It could be in the image. It could be in the brand association. It could be the way you want to be seen as well. Strategically design and implement a brand architecture strategy. This is part about developing the entire marketing program, and implement a brand equity management system that will, of course, ensure that marketing actions properly reflect the brand equity concept. These are controls and measures we put in place. That being said, some 7 deadly sins of brand management. Let me just pause here for a moment. I would like to take a bit of my breath, and I'm stopping the recording. So when I come back, I'll record the remaining part.